From the High Definition Production Center of Troy University's Broadcast and Digital Network at Troy, Alabama's International University, this is Troy TrojanVision News.
Hello and welcome to Troy TrojanVision News for January 31st, 2017. I'm Samantha Charles.
And I'm Sarah Singletary. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Last Friday, President Trump signed an executive order restricting travel into the U.S. from 7 predominantly Muslim nations that some Troy University students call home. The effects of President Donald Trump's executive order banning travel into the United States from 7 Muslim-majority countries are being felt on the Troy University campus. The university is currently home to students from 3 of the 7 banned countries, and 20 students from 2 of the banned countries, Iraq and Iran, have applied for admission to Troy. Troy University Chancellor Jack Hawkins says that while the executive order has little effect on university practices, it has generated anxiety.
The effect that it may have, obviously, and it's a concern that we have, is on the anxiety level of our students, and particularly what it might do to those students who are in the pipeline who want to come from all over the world to Troy University. And so that's where the primary concern rests.
And while the future is a concern, Hawkins says Troy students currently enrolled from the 7 banned countries should consider staying in the United States for the time being.
For those students from those countries, we're encouraging them or discouraging them from leaving this country until this is all resolved. I would say do not leave if this experience is of value to you, because it'll be very difficult to come back.
And while the executive order has been a source of division for some, Hawkins believes it will unite the Troy community.
I would predict and expect that we'll grow together as a community. I hope as a result of this, our international students know how much we care about them and how collaborative this environment is. This is a special place. And it's a special place because we have special people taking care of these students. And we have special students too.
In the 2016 school year, Troy University had students from 4 of the nations affected by the executive order: Syria, Iran, Libya, and Iraq.
Most of the world celebrated the start to a new year on January 1st. Last Friday night, Troy University students got the chance to ring in the new year Chinese style. Xingying Hao, or Happy New Year. Chinese New Year is celebrated all across the world, and this year is the year of the rooster.
There's 12 different animals in the Chinese zodiac, and the animals are for each year. So for example, I was born in 1994, so I'm year of the dog. This year it's year of the rooster. It's a 12-year cycle, so 12 years from now, we'll have another year of the rooster.
The date of the Chinese New Year, or Spring Festival, as it's been called since the 20th century, is determined by the first day of the Chinese lunar calendar. It's different each year, but is always between January 21st and February 20th.
The Chinese calendar is a little bit different than our calendar, and it has to do with more ancient traditions. But, you know, just because we have such a huge Chinese population here at Troy University, it's such an important holiday for us to celebrate as a community.
With Troy University being Alabama's international university and having over 300 Chinese students,
we support their cultural celebrations for them, so that they can celebrate their own cultural celebrations, but also so that we can learn, so we can expand our own worldview.
If you are interested in learning more about other cultures at Troy University, Tea for Troy is this Thursday at 7 p.m. in Howell Hall. And Troy University students and faculty paid their final respects to Dr. Neil Billington this afternoon.
Billington was a science professor that was a favorite of many Troy students and a beloved colleague to many professors on campus. Seth Hawk has the story.
Tuesday afternoon, students, friends, family, and colleagues gathered in McCall Hall to remember the life and legacy of Dr. Neil Billington, a professor of science at Troy University who passed away on January 18th of this year.
Dr. B was a very interesting and memorable person. I started school here in 2001. I think by 2003 I had Dr. Billington probably for my first class. I'm going to say I had him for 5 or 6 courses over the years, both undergrad and grad, and then eventually being hired on here and being a colleague. Dr. Billington was always a joyful person, very memorable.
According to Jonathan Miller, there was a notable difference between the students Miller taught and the students Billington taught.
I think significant things to me is how many students forget who I am, forget my name, forget my face, but there's never been a student, to my knowledge, that has forgotten who Dr. Billington is, that has forgotten a story of his. Everybody has a Dr. B story.
Dr. Billington's brothers made a trip across the pond to speak to the Troy University faculty and students, and Dr. Billington's younger brother Paul said he could see the legacy that Dr. Billington had left behind.
I think I just summed it up to one of the guys in there who said that, you know, Dr. Billington had taken him from a place where he didn't feel very comfortable at college and everything else, and really mentored him to a place where he feels he'll now graduate with a very strong grade. And I think Neil's legacy would be, you know, everybody try your best and try and achieve your goals. And if Neil played a small part in that, you know, that would be his wish, that you would go on to fulfill your potential.
Seth Hawk, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Dr. Billington had been a professor with Troy University since the year 2000.
Now, the latest in Trojan Sports on TrojanVision News.
Welcome back into the world of Trojan Sports. Now, coming into Monday night, the Georgia Southern Eagles had the best record in the Sun Belt, sitting alone at the top of the standings. However, a trip to Trojan Arena put a little tarnish on that record, and now the Eagles have to share their top spot thanks to a loss handed to them by the Trojans. Jalen Bivens has the highlights.
The men's basketball team hosted the Georgia Southern Eagles Monday night. The Trojans came out with the win with a score of 83-76. Wesley Person scored 19 points, and Devon Walker also contributed with 15 points. However, Georgia Southern's full-court press gave the Trojans a bit of trouble.
They went to the full-court press, and they went back to something they were doing last year, was switching everything. That kind of threw us off. We didn't really prepare much for that, but we knew, you know, they do that some. It threw us off a little bit, but we were able to, you know, start getting to the basket, you know, get to the free throw line, you know, helping the offense out.
The Trojans had a 20-point lead in the second half, and Georgia Southern cut the lead down to 1.
The guys, they were hitting some deep shots on us, you know, driving the ball, get to the free throw line. And we weren't able to get anything on the offense, and they cut back into our lead big time, cut it down to maybe like 2 or 4 points or something like that. But we were able to, you know, withstand it and finish the game out.
Devon Walker seemed to enjoy the physicality of playing in the paint against Georgia Southern's bigs.
It was fun, man. It was a physical game, and that's something that I thrive off of. Kind of grew up playing that way with older guys, so it was fun down there. You know, just fighting every possession for the team, man.
This isn't the first time the Eagles have been down by 16 or more points this season. Coach Cunningham stayed up to watch Georgia Southern come back and beat Louisiana Monroe.
Ironically, I stayed up last night after practice, and I wanted to see how Monroe got 16 ahead of them a couple of weeks ago, and I watched that game, and it's amazing. Within about a 5-minute span within that game in the second half, when they took that 16-point lead, they came all the way back and took the lead on Monroe in about 5 minutes of game time.
Jalen Bivens, Troy, TrojanVision Sports.
Senior guard Jeremy Holloman's streak of 16 consecutive double-digit scoring games came to an end on Monday night, but hey, at least the Trojans got the win. Up next, the Trojans will face off against rival South Alabama Saturday in Trojan Arena. Also, serves up on the courts this past weekend for the women's tennis team, and it was not a good one. The team dropped both their matches on Saturday and Sunday. The first game against the defending Big South Conference champs in Winthrop. Then on Sunday, the Trojans dropped their matchup with Furman 7-0. The one win the Trojans enjoyed on the day came from the doubles pairing of Nancy Karaki and Alicia Rodriguez. The pair won their doubles matchup over Katie Wetmouth and Katerina Kozarov 6-1. 3 of the singles matches came down to 3 sets, including Hannah Seitzer's 6-0, 2-6, 1-0 defeat. The Trojans will hit the road again on February 12th against South Florida. The baseball team is still getting settled into practice, but the season's opening day is vastly approaching. There's hardly any time to relax, and the Trojans will face a tough slate this season, headlined with the defending national champions in Coastal Carolina. Here's what some of the players think about the challenging schedule coming up.
For me, I just see it as a great opportunity. It's just another way that we can get better and compete.
It's exciting, man. We always want to look to play the best teams and see how good we can match up against them, and everybody's pretty excited and we're all confident.
I love the schedule. Xavier, we've never played. They were in a regional final in Nashville last year. They returned 7 starters and 3 of their best pitchers. We got a great tournament in Pensacola leading into conference play, and then we got a 30-game brutal stretch in the Sun Belt. And then, oh, by the way, we got Alabama, Auburn, Samford, UAB, Jacksonville State along the way. So it's a great schedule.
The opening series for the Trojans will come February 17th against Xavier.